I was looking on the internet at some Saints musings earlier today, and I started thinking about something that I said before the draft. And you got to be held accountable for what you say, right? It's all on the internet. You can find everything I've ever said on this show on the internet. And I said entering the draft, like they need to find 4 starters out of this draft. They don't have to all 4 make the all-pro team, but they need to find 4 starters out of this draft. And if you can do that and usher out some of the more expensive and aging contracts, you start that rebuild. It's the same conversation we've had so many times. But if I'm going to say that and just be general in that sense, like, okay, well, let's talk about the 4 guys that you're going to find that are going to start. And so you obviously begin that process at the top of the draft where they took Kelvin Banks and Tyler Shough. And you would suggest that when they take their first snap of the season, the Saints do, Banks will be at left tackle and Shough will be the quarterback. Now, how long Shough handles that job remains to be seen, but those 2 guys are going to be starters. So I now have to take 2 more out of the final, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks. And I got to get 2 starters. Vernon Broughton, to me, was an interesting pick. Not wildly productive at Texas, but big, physical, and certainly a Bo Davis pick. I mean, that's a guy, Bo Davis coached him, and now he's the position coach for the Saints, and they took him there in the 3rd round. But I would actually dip down a little bit further for the one that I think is the most likely starter out of this draft beyond Banks and Shough. And to me, that's 4th rounder Quincy Riley, the corner from Louisville. Like, I look at the Saints secondary situation, which we talked about a little bit on Friday, and I go, you've spent some early picks on Kool-Aid McKinstry and Alontae Taylor, and those are the guys you're riding with, but they're unproven. And it's not like it would be shocking to see someone come in and unseat one of them or play alongside them at the nickel spot, maybe play outside to bump Alontae Taylor down into the nickel where he might be a little bit more comfortable. We've seen him play there a lot. Was certainly there when you had Lattimore and Adebo on the outsides and you bumped Taylor in, so maybe he's more comfortable there. Maybe he's not. But you've got some moving pieces there in a secondary that I think is looking for someone to come in and help solidify. And maybe they go sign Stephon Gilmore and he plays one of those spots. But you drafted Quincy Riley from Louisville, who was a playmaker at the college level. And I think there's a real chance that he grabs a starting spot. And then I talked about Danny Stutsman on Friday. I don't think he's a starter right now, but maybe he's a starter in 2026 if Demario Davis decides he's had enough, or you change the way the defense looks and you need a 3rd linebacker on the inside. Again, that's a decision for the coaching staff to make, but is that a guy that can find a spot? Because Jonah Sankar is a 3rd rounder, and maybe he does the same thing I'm talking about with Quincy Riley, but you do have at least 1 more year of Tyrann Mathieu, and you just signed a free agent in Justin Reed. So it's that path to the field is blocked a little bit until Mathieu hangs it up, which could be after this year. And so I think that those are the most likely candidates to be those starters. It's Banks, it's Shough, and then it's Quincy Riley, Jonah Sankar at safety, and Danny Stutsman at linebacker. I think it's, to me, Broughton's on the outside looking in. We'll see what this looks like next to Brian Brzee this year. And then you go towards the back end of the draft. Devin Neal's a guy that a lot of people like. Kamara's going to take the lion's share of those carries, and I think that you're looking at a shot where he gets 70% of the run at running back, and then somebody comes in and spells him. Neal's not a starter for the next 2 years, and I don't think he's necessarily a guy that you drafted to be your starting running back. He's more of a rotational piece. And then you got Molokai Matavo. I don't think he fits in with that contract that you just signed Juwan Johnson to. You still have Foster Moreau. Like, that seems like a stretch to be a 7th rounder who finds a way in. And then Fadil Diggs, you took out of Syracuse. He's got some talent, some pass rushing ability, but you've got guys on the edges. It's one of the stronger pieces of your roster in terms of depth. You just re-signed Chase Young. You do have Carl Granderson. Cam Jordan's got at least 1 more year to play. So those seem unlikely to me. It's more likely the guys at the top of the draft, and I think the guys in the secondary that have got to break through and find their way into the starting lineup to help get you younger and cheaper. And if you can move on from Tyrann Mathieu's contract and you can be significantly cheaper at corner than you were when Marshon Lattimore was manning that spot for the last few years after his second contract, you're just making dents trying to get this. You can't bite all this at one time. It's got to be a slow process. And so you're looking at some big contract numbers, like Shough significantly changes the structure of your organization after Derek Carr's contract comes off the books. That was over $100 million you had invested in that position. You can now get it on a rookie deal. Kelvin Banks playing left tackle. That's one of the most expensive spots in the sport of football. If you can have a rookie manning that spot on a rookie deal, it's just massively cheap. If you can, do you see how much money could be available to this team in the salary cap if you've got left tackle and quarterback on rookie deals? That's just a massive advantage on the entire rest of the sport if you can get that right. Now, you got to get Carr's money off the books. Ramczyk has retired, and that's obviously right tackle, but it is one of the tackle spots, and he's one of the best of the decade, so that's a significant chunk of change as well. But to do it on the cheap at those two positions, if it works, man, is that a roadmap to some financial flexibility. And you can go out there and actually add meaningful pieces in free agency at the top of the game instead of fishing for some scraps and trying to find a diamond in the rough at the bottom. And that's the plan here that you can see in motion that could work. It's just a matter of, do you trust the Saints to evaluate and get these guys into the lineup and make sure they're starters? I'd love it if this draft produced 6 starters, but I think it's got to have 4. And we're inching towards training camp. The Saints just announced today that all their practices are going to be open and tickets are available now. You're getting closer to getting back to financial freedom, which you were a long way away from 10 months ago. And so I just wanted to put some actual names and some opportunities to the claim that I made pre-draft, now that we know what the draft class is and we're getting closer to those guys who have now gone through their OTAs and gone through their rookie minicamp, and they're now getting ready for training camp less than a month away. Like, okay, who can make this push? Who can get to the lineup? Who can make sure that one position is locked down at a rookie contract level? It's just, there's nothing more important than that right now for this organization, than getting these rookies on cheap deals to play at a high level. Shough is the most important, obviously. It's the quarterback spot. We all know that. It's got to happen. But if you can get Banks and then find maybe 2 guys in the secondary that can play on these deals that are 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks, that's where the nucleus of rosters is built. Yes, you need the stars, and you got to find those guys early. And the Saints have invested on the offensive line, and now they've finally taken a quarterback. But the meat of your team that goes from the 6th best player to the 50th best player has to be done in the middle rounds of the draft and with undrafted free agents. And so the Saints have got to start hitting on those. Got to start hitting on those. No more Marcus Davenports. No more Isaiah Foskey's. Like, those are crippling to what you're trying to get accomplished. Got to hope you've hit on more of these guys than you missed on with this draft class. And that's something that I spent some time looking at this morning and wanted to kind of sift through out loud on the show today. If you're looking for Saints content, check it out, Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcast, wherever you find your sound, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Just search Hunt on Saints. You can also find us on YouTube every day. Nothing but Saints football all year round. Hunt on Saints. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.